Would you like to buy some official Paul Does Tech merchandise? Feel free to visit my Spreadshirt store linked in the description below to view various products, colors, and logos that you could get to support me, Paul, from Paul Does Tech. There's also a video in the description below to learn more about my Spreadshirt shop. Thanks for supporting me. Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Paul here from the Paul Does Tech channel, and today I have kind of a different topic video that I never actually thought I'd make because I never thought I would have any knowledge on the topic. But because the situation arose where I was able to go to the PGA Merchandise Show in Orlando, Florida for 4 days, but stayed in Orlando for like almost a week and a half, like 8 days, 9 days, something like that. Because I was given that opportunity, I was actually down there to be filming at the trade show for the people that I work for. So I did learn a few things about filming. You know, obviously it was my first time filming live, like an event like that. So obviously I didn't do everything perfect. You know, it's just, you know, you learn as you go. It turned out really well, don't get me wrong, but there are just a few little things I wish I would have done different. And so I'm kind of going to give you guys an explanation as to, you know, if you were in my situation, you know, a small, I guess almost not quite a production company, but filming for a small business, or just a, generally speaking, small production crew trying to film a live event like this while traveling, things like that. Because there are certain things that obviously, you know, everyone wants to walk in there with a, you know, Sony A7 and a strap backpack with the little thing that goes over your head and the cord that goes down so you barely have to hold the camera, and you know, 8 lav kits and lights everywhere. You know what I mean? Everyone knows that they want the big studio cameras, and you know, like you watch Linus Tech Tips at CES and them getting ready for CES, and you see all the great gear they have. But you got to realize that's not practical for, you know, Paul and for many people in my situation, you know, going for a small business to film things like this, or just, you know, on a small budget, or just not having, you know, the available equipment to be able to do something like that, you know, like Linus would do. So basically, I'll walk you through, you know, what I think you need to decide as you're getting ready to go film a trade show like this, a live event, a conference, you know, anything along the lines. I mean, obviously, this can be applied to things more than just filming a trade show. So the first thing you have to decide is pretty much what are there any existing limitations to where, you know, outside things are going to limit you. For example, I live in Pennsylvania and the trade show's in Florida, and you know, we had to fly down. So I got to be careful of what I'm bringing on the plane, and we'll get into something like this later about, you know, security, things like that. So for, you know, my travel, we were playing golf down there and we flew Southwest. So I get my carry-on and 2 bags. One of my bags was my golf bag, and the other bag, you know, I got 50 pounds to have everything I needed for a week in that 50 pounds. And in my backpack, I kept laptop, iPad, you know, things like that. But generally speaking, filming gear's got to find its way into that 50-pound bag of, you know, clothes, shampoo, things like that. You know what I mean? Stuff you got to live on for a week. So you just got to identify your limitations. The other thing is, now, this is more Paul Does Tech than Paul Does Tech itself. The trade show, actually, you weren't allowed to just walk in there and film as Joe Blow, which, you know, I'm in most cases Joe Blow, you know, average Joe. So you were actually supposed to, you know, register with their media center and check your camera in every day, and they would kind of go over the rules with you. But you win some, you lose some, you know. Can't be perfect every day of the week. So yeah, that was another limitation. And, you know, you also have to look at, well, do you want to be carrying, you know, 18 different things around at the trade show? Because also, when you're, you know, maybe a 2-man production team of one person's talking and one person's filming, you got to realize we're also down there to do other things than just film. You know what I mean? We have to go, you know, we're trying to squeeze in a quick 10-minute filming thing when we have 11 minutes between meetings with Callaway and Titleist. You know what I mean? So it's not like we have time to set up and we want to be carrying this all around, because we still do have to go to meetings and get done what we need to get done, and trying to squeeze the filming in between. So that's another limitation. You have to look at, you know, are you there strictly just to be filming? Or are you there, you know, with a lot of, you know, are you staying close by? Can you go get stuff and drop it off? There's a lot of other factors that you have to determine. So essentially, you want to keep your gear as light as possible, which probably in most cases, especially if you're trying to make sure people aren't seeing you film, and you don't want to have this big, like studio setup in the middle of the floor. The best way I found is for it to be like, oh, this is cool. Hey, let's start filming this. And the talent just turns around and starts talking and you're already ready to go. So my suggestion here is to keep it light. I wouldn't take a tripod personally. If you don't have to, I wouldn't take a tripod, just because you can get what you need, especially from the perspective of a small production team and for a small business, Facebook, YouTube, things like this, because this is what I was doing. It's for a small business and we're trying to promote ourselves. So I don't need B-roll of the products. I don't need the world's most stable shot. I just need as much stuff as we can get and as good as we can get it. So tripod was rolled out. So the next thing is you got to think about how you're going to hold your camera steady or whatever you're using. So then you could look at something preferably like this. You could just, like you were going to be walking down an alley with an M9 and you're going to have to bust a cap, pull out your GAT, and lay them busters down. But, something like this is ideal. So, you got your 1/4 thread and steady. You can hold it close to your body. It gives you a nice way to hold it. Also, DSLRs have, kind of a little handle on the side, and you can just hold it on the bottom. Other way, which we'll get into when we talk about camera, is you could just hold phone like that. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about with keeping everything light. You don't need a tripod, I wouldn't think, if you're not in a big production crew, if you're not filming stuff that's film related, because if you're at a trade show maybe for filming, like the trade show is about filming and production, you might want to make it look good because that's the whole concept. And you want to have a tripod to make sure everything's stable. You want to have some good B-roll. But for our perspective as golf professionals, no one that's watching our golf videos is going to say, oh, wow, that camera just bounced a hair too much, or oh, boy, that B-roll wasn't quite perfect. You know what I mean? It's about information and getting it as good as you can for as little, and I just dropped the mic. Drop my mic. We'll get into that later when we talk about audio. But you want to, make it as good as you can with as little equipment as you can. So the next thing we're going to talk about is what camera would you want to use. Now, I think there are 3 options when it comes to this, and it all comes down to what you have. One of the best options that I think people might overlook is the smartphone. Now, this will all come into, audio later, because I wouldn't use any internal mic on any device you're filming with ever for a trade show like this. Because, it's one thing if I were to sit here and use the internal mic, that's, not great, but it works. But when you're at a trade show like this, I wouldn't even use a shotgun mic either, because you got to realize there's everything going on around it. You just want what's coming out of your talent's mouth. So the phone actually isn't a bad idea, because you got to look at it as this fits in my pocket. I'm going to have it with me anyway. I'm going to be pulling it out to take pictures for Facebook. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have this regardless. And most phones these days, iPhone 6 and on, Note 4 and on, they're good. You're going to get 1080p, if not in some cases 4K. And especially if there's decent lighting at the event, which in most cases there's normally good lighting, the small aperture won't hurt you too bad. Is it ideal? No. But will it work? Certainly. That's the one thing you don't want to overlook, is when you have a different audio input, because you will need something else. Internal mic on this, no good. Internal mic on a point and shoot, no good. Internal on a DSLR, no good. So that's where some people be like, oh, the audio will be bad. You need different audio anyway. So honestly, filming like this isn't bad, because it's quick, it's compact, you can pull it out on a moment's notice and you are ready to go. And the other thing is, in my scenario, I didn't want to be standing there with a huge DSLR and you see me from the whole way on the other side of the show and they're like, wow, those guys are filming. You know what I mean? I don't like drawing attention to myself, whether I'm following the rules or not. When I'm filming, I don't want to draw attention to myself, The other thing is it's so simple. You have all your files on there, you can watch them right away. And like I said, this just looks like I'm taking a picture of you, not filming a YouTube video. So the phone's something I wouldn't overlook. Now, obviously, the point and shoot might be a little bit of an upgrade from there, but Damn these 10-minute clips. They just kill me every time in the middle of talking, and it cuts me out. But like I was saying, guys, point and shoot would be an upgrade. But what I do want to say real quickly, though, about the phone is that it requires a certain type of audio solution. Some people want to use a lav kit. Great. You got to be able to plug it into something, So if you don't have a DS, if your goal is you have to use the lav kit because that's your only option for audio, then you're going to have to use your DSLR because it's the only thing with mic input. But in my scenario, I have a Zoom H1, and the Zoom H1 is perfect. Battery lasts forever. There's 35 hours worth I can put on a 2 gigabyte card, and my talent just has this in his pocket constantly the entire day, and it's this big. So anytime that we want to do it, he just flips it out, holds power on, and hits record, and we're live. You know what I mean? And then all he has to do is give me a clap, and we're good. So that's the thing with the phone, if you have all, like me, where you have a good bit of equipment you can use and you got to think about what you want to take, if this is your only audio solution, because, it'd be nice if you could use something like this, but again, still, mic input that would be needed on a camera with an input port, obviously you don't want to use this. It's a shotgun mic. You don't want to get all the noise. But if you're looking at all of your audio capturing solutions, and, this is what you have, you're going to have to take something with a mic input, which might be your DSLR, so that could limit you. But, like I said, if you have the Zoom H1 and a lav, this is, this will film. You know what I mean? And in I think one of the days, that's what we did. We had too many meetings, had to do too many things. We couldn't carry around a bunch of film equipment. So I'm like, put this in your pocket. I'll have this, and we're good. So I filmed a trade show with this phone, this Zoom H1, and this lavalier. And in fact, the battery was dead on the Zoom H1, so I stole battery out of the remote from our hotel. So that's what I'm saying. It's a lot simpler than you think it is. You can film with this. You don't need 18 cameras, and sometimes this is better. Now, the quality might not be fantastic, but in some cases, like if you're a small business just looking to get your feet wet with this, live from a trade show type stuff, people are just going to be fascinated that you were live from a trade show. Not that, oh, wow, that's good 1080p, but that aperture must have been small with whatever you filmed with, like who the hell cares? So obviously, if you can do better than a smartphone, do better than a smartphone, but I feel it's a simple way to get your feet wet. So, you can combine it with this, get a mount. I have one where you could obviously hold, your phone like this, and that's an upgrade. It's the little things that'll just go a long way, but I didn't want to take this on a plane because TSA would have had 3 knuckles up my asshole if I'd have had this on a plane. So that's what I have to say about a smartphone. Obviously, point and shoot takes it a little past a smartphone, especially if you have a mic input. A mic input on a point and shoot is rare, but then that allows you to then use this, and in some scenarios this, I wouldn't recommend it, but obviously the ultimate setup is a DSLR with something like this, because this would fit small in a suitcase, because obviously, your shoulder mount probably isn't going to be well off in your suitcase when you're traveling. If, obviously maybe this trade show's down the block from your house and you can take whatever you want, but in my scenario, this, a DSLR, lav kit, you're golden, but for the smaller people on more of a budget, you already have a smartphone. I know you do. And a Zoom H1's $80. I paid $50 for this on eBay. And you can get a lav for $20. So for essentially under $100, you can film live from your next trade show. And that's what I want to show you guys out there who might be in my situation working for a small business. You could be a small business owner. And people eat this stuff up. Like, we post this to our Facebook and people love it. Especially if you're in a kind of a business where you're personable with people, to where, in golf, we fit people. People pay us to talk them through stuff for hours, and that that connects us with them, and then they care more about us and want to see stuff like this. This was fantastic to be able to show our customers this, and it gets them excited about new products for the upcoming year. And so that's why I want to show you guys. You don't need 1,000 things. This works. I'll link you guys to the channel that we are doing all this on, and it works. It really does. You want to have the DSLR. We used the DSLR in the first video. It was great. The quality was good. This worked very well. We were outside. Our car was right next to the venue. I could go back to the car and put my stuff away. We really didn't have any set schedule for the day. So we figured, you know what, might as well make the first one look great. And it did, you know. That's the other thing. You have to be able to adapt. For example, my DSLR battery died at one point, so I had no other option. I had to make sure I had this as an option. This battery was dead. I needed to find a AA battery. In 30 seconds I had to find a AA battery, and the only place I could look was the remote. And thank God it was a AA. So that was the whole concept of this video, guys. I just wanted to make a nice long video and talk some of you guys through the decision making of this. If it's something where you have to travel, pack light. You don't need everything. If it's close to home, take what you want, but make sure it's stuff that you know you're going to be carrying around all day. And if you don't need the utmost film quality, make it good. Make it viewable, make it pleasant to watch, but you don't need to go over the top with equipment to make it unnecessarily great. Because people that want to watch golf videos don't really care how nice the video looks. Now, if you're going to a trade show about cameras, people might not, respect your opinion if you're filming on your smartphone. That's a scenario you could run into. You just have to take all the factors in, shoot for the moon. Make all your equipment to make the best video possible, but then take in the limitations, take in scenarios that you're going to have, and start, figuring out which setup works best for you. And in my case, honestly, the best setup would have been this with this, but unfortunately, plain, not taking that. So all I did was this. This is Paul Does Tech. Paul loves his equipment, but Paul didn't need his equipment, so Paul didn't take it. You know what I mean? Don't take the unnecessary stuff, guys. That was the moral of the video. If you have any questions about filming on a trade show, I'm going to make a quick video about the best trade show setup. It's going to be literally like 2 minutes long. It's going to be me talking about this. So that's what you guys will see in an upcoming video. I still have 3 minutes till my camera cuts out, guys. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to check out what we did while we were in Orlando, the link will be in the description below. I will be making a separate video about that channel, though. So, yeah, guys, I just wanted to talk you through it. Haven't made a video in a while, and that was something I had knowledge on. So, thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.
Get fresh off the grill, get fresh off the grill, nigga, keeping it hot. Get fresh off the grill, get fresh off the grill. Got them bouncing the hopper, nigga, you can't stop me.